What's up, YouTube? It's the Big Kahuna back again with another video. And I'd like to give a shout out to Thug Whacker, Yomo Flow 24, Jason P. Wilson, and on to today's video. So I did a video a little while back, and in the comment section, as usual, there's a guy. I don't know if he's a subscriber or if he's just somebody who comes by and checks out my videos or whatever, but every time he makes a comment, it's always something like, you're sounding like a fanboy, or you're sounding like an X-bot, or something like that. And I said to him that anytime you're pro XB1, or anytime you like the XB1, then you're called a fanboy or X-bot or something like that. And he said, no, it's not that. It's your content and the people that you hang with. Number one, I'm not a gang member, so I'm not hanging with gang members. And the people I hang with, I'm going to keep hanging with them. I'm not going to stop hanging with them because people deem them fanboys, because most of those people who deem them fanboys are probably fanboys. And two, my statement about people calling you a X-bot or a fanboy when you like the Xbox One is a true statement, and I'm gonna tell you why. So I was on the PlayStation one day when I still had one, and my cousin sends me a message. And I open the message and it says, Microsoft to spin off XB1. Ha ha ha. So I was about to get off. I wasn't even worried about that message. I had seen the little interview with Bill Gates, and I wasn't worried about it. So my cousin sends me a party chat. So it's my cousin. So I go over to the party chat. And there's two other guys in the room. And they were quiet at first. Of course, they said, hey, what's up with it? Hey, this is my cousin. They say, hey, what's up? So he says, did you get my message? I said, yes. And he said, what do you think about that? I said, I seen the interview with Bill Gates. They asked him, was he going to support his CEO if he decided to spin off the XB1? And he said, yes. And I said, then the ponies took that and ran with it. The XB1 is being spent off. The XB1 is being spent off. And that just wasn't the case. So then my cousin started pointing out all the videos I made, the ones I made in the beginning that got me started. And it was the videos I was comparing the features of the XB1 to the PlayStation 4. And he was like, you know, you favor that XB1 over the PlayStation 4. Now, mind you, I'm in the room with a bunch of ponies. None of them own an XB1. But they're worried about me favoring the XB1 over the PlayStation. This is coming from a guy who only has a PlayStation. Never played an XB1. Seen it in the commercials, probably maybe seen the box in the Walmart or something, but has never played one. And he's questioning why I favor the XB1 over the PlayStation. So I told him I like the features, I like the games, and I like the community. So one of the dudes had asked me a question. I can't remember what the question was, but the question that he asked me, what happened was, I'm sitting here trying to get loud because my son's back there being loud. But anyway, going on to the video. So, what happened was, whatever it was I said, it excited this pony. They was all up in arms. They was ready to burn me at the stake. Even my cousin. They was all in there yelling at me. And I think these ponies all have like a pony Bible or something, with pony scriptures or something. Thou shall not play unless it's 1080p. Thou shall not mess with the X-Bone. It's inferior. You know, stuff like that. So they say, you know, they regurgitate the same shit that all the Sony fanboys say. You know, 1080p, 1080p. The X-Bone can't do 1080p. So I said the X-Bone has Forza 5, which is running at 1080p, single player and multiplayer. 60 frames per second, single player and multiplayer. Killzone, single player, 1080p. Multiplayer, 720p. Single player, 30 frames per second. Multiplayer, up and down. In the video I did, in one of the videos I did where I actually showed you the Digital Foundry film, I think it hit 60 frames or 60 frame once. It went boom, hit 60 and went straight back down to 40, 50, 30. So anyway, I told them the only next gen game in 1080p and locked 60 frames per second is on the XB1. So they was pissed off about that. So then they started yelling over top of me, calling me Xbot, fanboy, and all this other stuff. So then they started arguing about exclusives. And, you know, the PlayStation has more exclusives. I said, not more AAA exclusive. Yes, it does. So they try to, you know, name off some AAA exclusives, which we all know the XB1 has more AAA exclusives. Not exclusives, AAA exclusives. I know they have a whole bunch of a shitload of indies that are exclusive. I don't give a shit. But anyway, moving on. So they was saying that, you know, you Xbots talking to me. You nothing but a fanboy, blah, blah, blah. And this is all because I favored the Xbox One over the PlayStation 4. So, I have the right to buy two consoles, but I don't have the right to like which one I like better. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to anybody? I have to like what they like. These guys, and I'm going to tell you this. I have a friend who works at GameStop. And he's the manager. And if y'all didn't know this, all the managers at all the GameStops, when PS4 was launched, they got a free PS4. When the XB1 was launched, they got a free XB1. And a whole slew of games. Well, the manager up there, me and him are real cool. He liked the XB1, but he liked the PlayStation better. Not once did I argue with him. Not once did I try to change his mind. He eventually went and sold his XB1. I didn't question him because I knew why he sold it. He wasn't playing it. Same reason why I sold my PlayStation to him at his GameStop, because I wasn't playing it either. He didn't go, but you know the PlayStation's superior. He didn't say any of that. He just said, okay. Now, granted, yes, he works there, and it's his job to go ahead and take it. But I know the guy, and he doesn't worry about what I play on. What I play on is what I play on, and that's it. But you got to be a real fanboy. You own one system, haven't even tried the other system, and then want to go ahead and say, you're showing favoritism to the other console. Because I like the other console better. So they called me Xbox. They called me fanboy and all that. So then they started arguing about their exclusives. They said, and I quote, you a fanboy. You just pissed off because you can't play MLB and what is it? The other one, Infamous. That's what they said. And I started laughing. I said, you a bunch of dumbasses. I'm on the PlayStation 4 talking to you right now. So obviously, if I wanted to get Infamous and not Killzone, because I took that shit back. But if I wanted to get Infamous and I wanted to get MLB, I could have purchased it. This is the thinking that goes through fanboys' heads to know that you're talking to somebody on your console, the only console you own, and then get mad and tell them you're just pissed off because you can't get MLB and you can't get Infamous when I'm on the freaking PlayStation. Does that make sense to you guys? This is how ponies think. But I'm a fanboy. So I started laughing, and then once they figured that they couldn't take me down with words, they just kicked me out the room. Of course, my cousin was like, "Wait there, I'll come there," and I just put, "Stay with your homeboys, laugh out loud," and then I went about my business, went over to the XB1. So, another story. Mr. T-Tech. Shout out to Mr. T-Tech. He likes to stream on Twitch a lot, and he usually streaming Battlefield 4. So one day he was on there streaming Battlefield 4, so I wanted to check it out, see if he was going to get done in or whatever. But, you know, he wasn't doing all that. He was kicking ass. But, so I'm checking out his feed and everything, and I start, you know, I'm going bullshit and talk shit in there. And he said, "Yo, Kahuna, won't you come in to the party chat?" So I come into the party chat, and I'm talking to him and the other brothers, and then we laughing and, you know, making jokes and stuff. So I'm looking at the comments, and the comments was looking kind of strange. I'm looking at the TV like, what the hell? I see, "Are you enjoying that 720p? The Xbone can't do 1080p. The PlayStation does more 1080p. There was a couple racial slurs in there. Let me see, what else did they say? They say, "You X-Bones are dumb, willing to settle for anything." And what else did they say? They say PlayStation has more games. You know, the usual shit that ponies spew out of their mouth. And by the way, yes, PlayStation does have more games. But unfortunately, if you're an X1 gamer like I am, you probably don't care about most of those games. But anyway, moving on. So they was putting shit like that in there and calling him an X-bot and a fanboy and, you know, all this. You guys are dumb and, you know, accepting that inferior console and stuff. Meanwhile, I'm wondering how they got in there. So he told me he left a link in, you know, a whole bunch of Facebook groups. And they knew he was playing on the XB1. So these ponies came over to come in his room just to talk shit. If you're happy with your PlayStation, why don't you just look at Facebook and say, "Oh, I'm just going to go play PlayStation"? No, you took your time to go watch the XB1. So then there was one now mind you, he was cracking jokes on him and he was being very funny, but there was one thing that he said that was really funny, at least to me. One dude said, of course, we have 8 million consoles sold. And he said, "Dumbass, I'm one of those 8 million. So shut the hell up." And we was all laughing. So these people didn't need, and once again, here's a man who he still has it. Well, he sold it. Damn. I think he sold it. I'm not sure. But he had the PlayStation 4 at the time. And they still talking shit about the XB1. Why? What sense does that make? He had the PlayStation. I'll never understand you fanboys. But call me a fanboy if you want. Doesn't make a difference as long as I know I'm not a fanboy. So as I always say, fanboys don't like their favorite system. They just hate yours. XB1. Peace out.